Hello, everyone. I'm Jodi Harris, and I'm the owner and founder of World Tree Coaching, where I provide coaching and mindfulness training to globally mobile people. And I'm also the FIGT board vice president. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you a little bit today for May's FIGT Focus on living and working across cultures. And I'm excited to be sharing with you something that's really helped me in my globally mobile life when I'm stepping into a new place or working cross-culturally, and I'm trying to get a better sense of how I can engage with people who might have different views, different perspectives, or different experiences than my own. So what I'm sharing today is a little bit about what is called the personal leadership model. The personal leadership model is a mindfulness-based cross-cultural communication framework that helps people use the concepts of mindfulness for cross-cultural communication and adaptation. A little bit of FIGT history is one of the founders of the PL model was Barbara Shady, and she was an early FIGT member and one of the people that was instrumental in beginning the process of requests for proposals for the FIGT conference. So Barbara Shady, along with her other colleagues, Sheila Ramsey and Gordon Watanabe, put together this model based on their experiences using mindfulness as cross-cultural trainers. So what I'd like to do today is share with you a very basic introduction of how you might be able to use the concepts and the processes of the PL model in your own life. Now, this will just be an overview. So if you want to learn more, you can always put questions in the comments of this video or reach out to me. So the basic idea of the PL model is that we have two principles that can really guide our interactions interculturally. And those two principles are mindfulness and creativity. Mindfulness is our ability to pay attention to what's happening as it's happening. And the idea is that when we can fully pay attention and we can step fully embodied into what we're experiencing in a cross-cultural situation, we open ourselves up to creative solutions and possibilities that we may not have seen before. And at the same time, when we become more creative about how we interact with people whose experiences might be different from our own, we become more mindful of how we communicate, how we listen, how we speak, and how we kind of read the room, as you were. So when we're looking at the PL model, the first thing we do when we notice ourselves in a challenging intercultural situation is that we first begin to notice what we call like the something's up moment. And we've all faced this. So I like to use the example of going into a medical facility in a foreign country and not really speaking the language. So when you're about to go into that situation, there's lots of things that are coming up for you. And we can call that the something's up moment. And we may not really be paying attention to them, but most of us probably notice little things like our heart's racing, or we're worried, or we're thinking thoughts about being afraid. So the first step is simply to notice this is a something's up moment. And then what we do is we begin to take mindful awareness of the different things that may be happening. So the first question we can ask ourselves is, what assumptions or judgments am I making here? What assumptions or judgments am I making about myself? What assumptions or judgments am I making about the other people in this situation? Or what assumptions or judgments am I making about the situation in general? And so you might notice, you're sitting in the waiting room or something, you can pause and you simply take a breath and you list these things in your head. Now it's super tempting to like get into the story of why you feel that way or to remember some other story, but really at this point, from a perspective of being mindful, we're just naming. So I might, in this situation, notice, I'm assuming they won't understand me. I'm assuming that I'll mess up and say the wrong thing. I'm assuming that culturally the medical situation is different than my home country and they won't understand me, or they'll tell me something that, I don't agree with. So I'm just noticing assumptions, judgments. And then after doing that, when I feel like I have a good sense of, I've listed those, I've become mindfully aware of those, then I ask myself, what emotions am I aware of here? So when we attend to emotion, we notice emotions that maybe feel good to us, and we may notice emotions that are uncomfortable. And again, we're not getting into the big story behind the emotions. This is simply naming. And so we might say worry, anxiety, fear, stress. After we attend to emotions, then the next practice that we engage with is attending to physical sensations. So we might close our eyes and notice heart racing, palms sweating, stress, tension, the temple. And again, this is just noticing. So it's really tempting, for example, if you have butterflies in your stomach, especially if you're anxious or stressed, to be like, oh gosh, what's wrong with my stomach? I hope I'm not getting sick. I hope this isn't happening. And as much as possible, we simply become aware. We remind ourselves we don't have to be pulled into the story. So that's our third practice. The next practice is to cultivate stillness. And in that moment, what we do is we simply close our eyes, or you can leave your eyes open, and we take a breath. And we're asking ourselves in that moment, what insights come when I'm still? An insight that might come is, I've done this a million times in 4 or 5 different countries, and it's always fine, even though I'm worried. You will have your own insights, but when we create a moment of stillness, there are things that we can become aware of. And then the fifth practice is to engage with the things that we don't know, engage with ambiguity. So we ask ourselves, what do I not know here? And we might say, I don't know if someone in the office will speak the language or not. I don't know if they won't be able to understand me, even if I try to speak the language. And we kind of keep asking, what else do I not know? Well, I don't know if I will find out that myself or my child has some illness, right? I don't know, right? And if we ask those questions, we can see all of the spinning that we typically do. And in that moment, we say, oh, these are the things I don't know. Maybe this I'll find out, and maybe this I can let go. I'm not going to find this out. And again, this is simply at this phase, just a process of naming in your mind, what do I not know here? And then the next thing we do is we ask ourselves, who do I want to be right now? So this practice within the PL model is called aligning with vision. So if you've been working with a personal leadership coach or facilitator, or you're learning the model yourself, you will have spent some time looking at what is your vision of yourself when you're engaged fully, when you're fully present as your highest and best self. Now, for the example today, you may not have a really clear sense of your vision of yourself at your highest and best. Nonetheless, you could ask the question, who do I want to be? Most of the time, most of us will notice, I want to be compassionate to myself. I want to interact well with the medical provider so that I can build a relationship with them because I know I'll be coming back. Maybe I want to be easy on myself. If I say the wrong thing, if I use the wrong words, I want to be okay with that. I'm trying. So we ask in that sixth practice of aligning with vision, who do I want to be right now? So after we've engaged in these 6 practices, I'll repeat them, attending to assumptions and judgments, attending to emotions, attending to physical sensations, cultivating stillness, engaging ambiguity, and aligning with vision, we've now cultivated a mindful awareness of all of the things that may be coming up that we hadn't noticed before. And then we're more capable of choosing the next right action for us. When you practice this regularly, it becomes almost a habit. It becomes easier to cultivate this awareness. It can also be a really, really great journaling exercise after something happens where you feel like, ooh, culturally, I really messed up there. Or you're feeling an inner stress about how you're engaging and you can't quite put your finger on it. using these questions as a journaling exercise can be really helpful. So you can go ahead and try this on your own with something you're facing interculturally right now as well. And I'm more than happy to share more about this if you would like to learn more. And you can ask questions in the comments of the video. So thank you so much for taking this time for FIGT's May focus on engaging living and working cross-culturally. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Bye.